The gentleman yields. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Weber, for 5 minutes for his questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter the record this letter from Dave Ross, the Executive Vice President of Veola, a water, energy, and waste recycling company. This letter shares recommendations on how to address PFAS management and shares results from a May 2025 test of their incinerator in Port Arthur, Texas, my congressional district, which the test showed their incinerator destroyed 99.999% of PFAS contaminated waste. May I have unanimous consent to enter the record?
Sorry, I forgot I was sitting in the chair. Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mehan, is it Mehan or Mehan?
Each is silent.
Mehan was my next guess, yeah. Water utilities are already facing substantial costs to comply with PFAS regulations under the Safe Drinking Water Act and Clean Water Act, including treatment, monitoring, as well as disposal of PFAS residuals. How would, going back on your law training now, how would subjecting these same utilities to CERCLA liability for PFAS on top of already existing compliance obligations, how would that affect water affordability, particularly in small, rural, and disadvantaged communities?
Of course, the problem that small rural communities, whether rural or not that matter, they don't have the base to spread the cost out, the ratepayer base. So they're at a disadvantage to start with, as well as the technical limitations that they have in terms of staff and expertise in-house. So you'll probably see a lot of non-compliance or failure to comply, and then the cost will be, you can just imagine, they just won't be able to handle them. And remember, we've got other mandates too. We're dealing with lead service line replacement. 40 million of those we're going to have to replace at tremendous expense. Rates generally, and I'm not limiting this to small systems, are going up at least 3 to 4 times the rate of inflation. And I won't say that's a bad thing because we've been behind the curve in terms of our infrastructure investments. But the fact is, that is the reality. They're going up, and all these pressures are coming to bear on, let's face it, the ratepayers, not the state governments, not the federal government. It's primarily the ratepayers.
Has it been your experience that there's just not a whole lot of lawyers that are willing to file lawsuits in those small communities because the money's just not there?
That may be true.
Okay. And is it Bodine or Bodine?
Bodine.
That was my guess, too. So I'm going to come to you with the same question. Small communities where they really can't afford to do that, what's the answer there?
The answer, it's a chronic problem, whether you're dealing with PFAS or anything. And the answer actually is getting operators there who can manage the system, because frankly, in smaller communities, they can't afford to pay the operators enough to stay, and so there's a lot of turnover, and so you have a lot of issues because they're just not being operated properly.
And I didn't read your bio. Are you an attorney also?
I am an attorney, yes.
Okay, so we've got at least 2 attorneys on the panel, maybe 3. Okay.
I'm a recovering one.
And we've got a mom that's got the most important role. She's raising children. So thank you for being here. Ms. Bodine, I'm going to come back to you. So we're now hearing how some state and local governments are reportedly pausing PFAS sampling programs to avoid discovering contamination that would then trigger CERCLA obligations. Do you think more state and local governments will follow suit without changes to CERCLA, or how would that affect, and if so, how would that affect environmental transparency?
So that's an interesting question. I had not thought of that. You're saying that they're not looking for it because if they find it, they're worried about liability. I believe that's what you just said.
I think that's the case.
And that actually can increase risk instead of reducing risk.
So.
And that's another unintended consequence of the very, very broad liability created by Superfund. Whereas, I think people here today have talked about there are other statutes.
Okay. I'm running out of time. Is it Falby or Falby?
Falby.
Okay. What do you think about that very quickly?
I think that giving the decision to the states is usually the best idea. Many states were regulating PFAS before the federal government acted. I think cleaning up property at the local level, at the state level, is real. It's quicker, it's cheaper, it's faster, and you usually get a closure certification of some kind, which the market really accepts.
Okay. I thank you for that short answer. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.